Welcome back, everyone, for the 11th edition of the Bourbon Judge. Today, we're going to go ahead and review a new bourbon called Wilderness Trail. So let's take a quick view of the bottle, the front, the back. All right, so a couple of things about Wilderness Trail. So first and foremost, the company obviously based out of Kentucky, so another lovely Kentucky-based bourbon distillery. Cool story about them, though. They were started by two fermentation experts. So two guys that, are in the bourbon industry for over 20 years and really just know the bourbon very well. So they wanted to start out almost like a craft distillery. So they created Wilderness Trail. So they have three different types. There's the standard bourbon, there's a rye, everyone has a rye, and then there's also what we're going to sample today, which is a wheated bourbon. And this is a wheated bottle and bond. You don't see those too often, so this is pretty unique. Couple things about this bourbon itself. So number one, from a proof standpoint, it's 100 proof. Obviously being bottled in bond. With also being bottled in bond, that means that the bourbon has to be aged for a minimum of at least 4 years. So it's 4 years, 100 proof. And this one again is wheated, so that kind of changes the complexity, the tasting itself. So it's really unique, right? Couple other things for this one as well. This one, obviously being a wheated bourbon, typically it's a bit sweeter on the sweet end, so that will probably taste that as well. And from an availability standpoint, so this one costs about $45 to $50. And if you're out trying to find it, you may have some trouble finding it, right? There may be some trouble finding it, but if you do make friends with your local liquor store owners, he or she, more than likely can probably order it for you, even if they don't stock it on the shelves. But otherwise, definitely, make sure that you look for it if you do end up liking it, and we'll kind of go from there. So looking at the bourbon from a color standpoint, so this was actually like a darker brown. I call it like a really deep, rich brown, probably, due to the age and then also being a wheated bourbon as well. So you have some really good color on it. And from the nose, go ahead, get into the smell. So, one thing about wheated bourbons, before all the caramel and honey, the typical smells that you have, this one you definitely smell the wheat, right? And I think that's kind of normal with any wheated bourbon, like I think of like the Wellers that are out there and so forth. You always smell the wheat. That's like the first thing that kind of comes off the nose. And then it's followed by the traditional caramel, honey, and so forth. But with bourbon, the best part about bourbon, number one, is obviously the tasting, right? So let's taste this. Let's see what it tastes like. All right. So number one thing is definitely a little bit sweeter, but not horrible, or not extra sweet, right? Definitely sweeter. You do pick up the caramel and the honey, but the other thing that stands out for this one is definitely some spice. I wouldn't expect that with a wheated bourbon, to be honest with you, but you definitely pick up some spice. It sits a little bit as it's going down, but it's also clean off the palate, very smooth. Let me go ahead and finish this. I can't leave a glass with a little bit of bourbon in it. Okay. All right. Well, with every bourbon review, we always say Bourbon Judge. When I go out and I see Wilderness Trail, do I buy it? Do I leave it on the shelf? What do I do? The verdict is in. This is an absolute buy. For the $45 to $50 price range, this is a wonderful wheated bottled in bond bourbon. Hands down, one of my favorites. Again, I like the craft, distilleries, while there are other great companies out there, these guys are experts, and obviously the quality in the bourbon, they're doing it right. So if you see this, please make sure you pick up a bottle, maybe two. As you can tell, I've already enjoyed it quite well myself, and we'll need another bottle pretty soon myself as well. Until then, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching the review today, and also be on the lookout. I will have a couple guest judges coming on pretty soon in the next couple weeks. A couple friends by the name of Tom, a different gentleman by the name of Max, and then finally a good friend Darian as well. So look for some guest judges over the next couple weeks and or months as well. Till then, folks, thanks again. See you soon.